You have, guess what? I have nobody that ever called and check on me. I call and check on her every day. She is calling. I call her and check on her every day. Yeah, she need to get up now.
Season 12, Episode 15 offers a stunning twist that has both viewers and cast members in disbelief in the dramatic world of love and hip-hop Atlanta, where drama and personal difficulties frequently take center stage. One of the show's mainstays, Lil Scrappy, who is well known for his volatile attitude and turbulent relationships, reveals a shocking revelation that nobody could have predicted. The episode starts with a revelation that shakes his already tumultuous marriage to Bambi and ultimately threatens to destroy the family they've worked so hard to create. Appears to be a typical day in the lives of Lil Scrappy and Bambi, who, in spite of their ups and downs, are dedicated to co-parenting and keeping things normal in their busy lives. They spend time with their kids and try to concentrate on their family bond, but behind closed doors, something much darker is brewing, and the seemingly peaceful moment soon devolves into chaos. A famous person known for his power and tenacity, Scrappy talks about a terrible revelation that has upended his entire world in recent years. His credit card statement has been showing a string of increasingly suspicious charges that he doesn't recall making. At first, he dismisses them, assuming that there may have been a mistake or even a bank error. But the charges keep getting bigger and more frequent until they finally catch his attention. They weren't in substantial amounts, but they were large sums, each more startling than the last. It begins with a small purchase here, a dubious transaction there, but it doesn't take long for the figures to attain an astounding $1 million total. The discovery leaves Scrappy reeling. His first thought is that someone must have stolen his card, possibly a stranger or acquaintance who had access to his finances. However, as he looks into the charges more, he notices a troubling pattern. The charges are not coming from random locations or unknown names, but are all connected to one person, his wife Bambi. As Scrappy comes to terms with the revelation, a sense of betrayal consumes him. How could someone so close to? He remembers times in their relationship when he had let his guard down and allowed Bambi access to his financial accounts to pay for family expenses or handle emergencies. He never imagined that those small acts of trust would be used to exploit him so brutally, and the emotional weight of what he's learned starts to weigh heavily on him. This goes beyond money. It's about the betrayal of confidence. Bambi had spent $1 million without his knowledge, not just a little here and there, or agreement. When Scrappy shares the agonizing information with his closest friends and family, his face displays his devastation. While some are shocked and others are furious, most of them have one clear message. Although they advise Scrappy to get legal counsel and take immediate action to safeguard his assets, Scrappy is reluctant to bring his private life into the public eye, particularly when his children are involved, and he wants to avoid it at all costs.
What you doing here?
What they we talking about? We talking about what they
She don't be on that. You just want me to look bad. It's all good. You want me to look bad without you winning your life. I know you said it out on.
As the couple sits down to talk about the matter, Scrappy chooses to address Bambi in spite of his internal conflict. You can feel the tension in the room. As Scrappy looks at Bambi, who initially appears to be totally oblivious to the seriousness of the situation, his heart races. When Scrappy shows the bank statements with the growing charges, her cool-headedness only makes things worse for him, who feels completely deceived. The face of Bambi, she doesn't react right away, and as she considers what Scrappy is accusing her of doing, her eyes widen in shock. Seems oppressive between them as the situation's truth sets in. At first, Bambi denies everything, insisting that something went wrong, a miscommunication at some point, but Scrappy's proof is indisputable. Every transaction, every expense as the altercation heats up, everything points to her. As Bambi's initial astonishment wears off and the consequences of her actions begin to sink in, she sobs and gives Scrappy an explanation that he finds hard to believe. The money wasn't spent out of malice or greed, but rather as a cry for assistance. She acknowledges that she struggled to balance the demands of parenthood, her marriage, and her own personal issues, feeling overburdened and cut off from everyone around her, not only Scrappy. Bambi used spending as an escape strategy, reasoning that it would provide her a short-term reprieve from the stress she was experiencing and give her a sense of control over a world that frequently seemed unattainable. Although the shopping binge was an act of defiance against the emotional upheaval she had been going through, Scrappy was hurt and disillusioned and found it difficult to accept her. He argues that he finds it incomprehensible that she could so severely break his confidence. In addition to the money, she also stole his sense of security and faith in their union. The scenario gets intensely emotional as Scrappy and Bambi attempt to deal with the fallout from the revelation. Bambi sobs uncontrollably and acknowledges that she never meant to hurt him, but was caught in a vicious cycle of emotional suffering and self-doubt. When confronted with the hard reality, however, Scrappy continues to be cautious and skeptical. Even though he wants to think that Bambi is sorry, he can't help but feel that their trust has been irreparably damaged since the woman he loved and believed he knew has deceived him in a way that feels unforgivable. As the episode comes to a close, there is a lingering sense of ambiguity, leaving Scrappy emotionally spent and unsure of what to do next. Is this the end of their turbulent relationship, or will he be able to forgive Bambi and proceed with their marriage? However, Bambi is left to bear the repercussions of her behavior. For lovers and hip-hop fans, they must now confront not only the fallout from Scrappy's discovery, but also the fact that her decisions have put all they've worked so hard to achieve in jeopardy. Time will tell, but one thing is for sure, Scrappy and Bambi's journey together will never be the same again. This unexpected turn of events in Atlanta has everyone on the edge of their seats, wondering how they will handle the fallout and whether their relationship will survive this scandal or if it is the end of their story.
Right, that's why you go right here.
What they we talking about? We talking about what they
She don't be on that. You just want me to look bad. It's all good. You want me to look bad like I don't do nothing in your life. I know you said it out on me. Don't about this.
She don't say that. Why is her child support in the same? I went over to you, bitch. I'm waiting for you. That's what you are. You are a bitch. That's what you are. Like you one thing. You're mad about that. Bitch, you're second barrel. Keep on me. I'm a Dominican Republic. You know that America. He's supposed to be first. He's here. He with me. He's a let me here with you now. Let's see what you have. You're working the bag, baby. You're second bag. Please. Who do you want to see you in the street? Shut it out, where I'm busy right now. You know what? Like you bitch. Oh, is you a bite? Yeah, what? Let me out. You ain't gonna
Hey, my shirt.
As the couple sits down to talk about the matter, Scrappy chooses to address Bambi in spite of his internal conflict. You can feel the tension in the room. As Scrappy looks at Bambi, who initially appears to be totally oblivious to the seriousness of the situation, his heart races. When Scrappy shows the bank statements with the growing charges, her cool-headedness only makes things worse for him, who feels completely deceived. Bambi's expression drops. She doesn't react right away, and her eyes widen in shock as she takes it all in. Bambi initially disputes everything, arguing that there must have been a misunderstanding somewhere along the line, but Scrappy's evidence is indisputable with each charge and expense. The quiet between them seems oppressive as the truth of the situation sets in. As the altercation heats up, everything points to her. As Bambi's initial shock wears off and the consequences of her behavior begin to sink in, she sobs and gives an explanation that Scrappy finds hard to believe. Bambi, she admits that she felt overburdened and cut off from everything around her, even Scrappy, as she struggled to balance the demands of parenthood, her marriage, and her own personal issues. The money wasn't spent out of greed or malice. Rather, it was a cry for assistance. Bambi used spending as an escape strategy, reasoning that it would provide her a short-term reprieve from the stress she was experiencing and give her a sense of control in a world that frequently seemed out of her reach.